There's a misconception as to what passive income really means, and that
Wow.
it's not totally passive and there's still some work involved. So that is like a big one because I have a lot of people, and I mean, there's a lot of things online that will tell you, build your passive income business and you just have to do nothing and da da da. That's not how it works.
Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us today. On today's episode of Entrepreneurial Truth, we have Tara Lesson on. And I'm going to just start out by just asking her to just tell you a little bit more about what she's doing in the space of systems. And Tara, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to talk to you today about all of this. So, I am Tara, and I'm a business strategist, a systems and automations expert, and I am absolutely obsessed with all things, business strategy, systems and automations, the things that people usually don't love in business, the boring things that people don't love to do. And I really am so passionate about helping entrepreneurs set up their businesses properly so that they have things running efficiently in the back end so that they can step away. That's like truly my biggest thing is getting things set up for people so that they can actually step away. Like you can go on vacation and your business still runs without you. And I do a lot of like strategy work as well so that you're using the right strategies in order to generate leads, make sales, do all of those good things as well. So that's kind of what I do.
I love it. I love it. And can you give our listeners a little bit of a backstory as to how you came into and how you started in this?
Yes, for sure. So my backstory, it's interesting. So I've done a lot of things in my life. I have like a varied experiences, I guess. Um, when I was younger, I started out, got a psychology degree, and ended up getting a divorce. That kind of changed things in my life. And I decided to go into nursing. I was a single mom at the time. And I made this shift because I was, going to do whatever I could to really take care of myself and my son. And it was from that point that, it was like, I'm going to do whatever I want to in my life. And it's going to be making us happy. And that was really my focus and like creating the life that I wanted. So I got my nursing degree. And at the same time as that, I actually started working with a couple businesses. And I didn't have my own business at the time, but I was working with them as I was, getting my degree because I needed to make some money on the side. And I was doing their systems, setting up websites, doing email marketing, things like that. And this was like over 10 years ago. So I started it then. Then I got into nursing, kind of moved away from that a little bit. I still did some website stuff, but mostly moved away from that, focused on nursing. And a lot of things happened in our life. It's a huge story, so I won't go into that too much, but a lot of things happened. I got remarried. We have a daughter together now, but things really shifted in our life. And I went back to, what do I really want? And what I was thinking about when I first, got my nursing degree. And it was like, there was a lot of reasons why it wasn't still nursing. And so I opened my first business, which was a fitness business. And in that, I had all of my systems and automations and everything set up because I knew how to do it. I had a website, I had all the things. And so there were other people that were asking me about it. And, how do you have all of these things set up? Because so often I was seeing online that there were programs where, they'll teach you about creating your offer, or they'll teach you about, it's one piece, but there's not a lot about setting up back-end systems. So that part is always missing. And many people were coming to me saying that. And I was actually in a program where they weren't telling them that part of it, but I had it in my business. So people were asking me, and I started helping them do it. And so things kind of evolved from there. And I still really, really loved doing the strategy, the systems and automations. And so I went full on into that and really started helping people out with that. And now I've been doing that for 2 years. And for the past almost year now, I've been doing that full time. So I've fully transitioned from nursing into my business now full time. So that's
Um,
the story of it. That's kind of long, but
no, you know what? I love it though. I love it because it's a story showing you can start in one place and end up in another place, and businesses often form out of a necessity to solve the problem for yourself or someone else that and then it kind of grows from there. And what are you finding now in the space? Because okay, we both have, or we're both in the system space. And I
yeah.
find that there are a lot of changes in the space right now, right? And
Mhm.
previous conversation, we talked about those changes. Like, how do you see those changes affecting, the people that are asking you for help now? You know,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the two biggest things that I see is people have, there's a misconception as to what passive income really means, and that
wow.
it's not totally passive and there's still some work involved. So that is like a big one because I have a lot of people, and I mean, there's a lot of things online that will tell you, build your passive income business and you just have to do nothing and da da da. That's not how it works. That's
Oh. So wait, so you have people that are coming to you now for automations thinking, okay, well, I'm building this passive income, so like automate everything.
Yeah, and it's like they want to be totally out of their business,
Oh,
like thinking that it will quite literally run and they never have to look at it again. But that's not how it works. Even the people that are saying, you can have a passive income and not do anything and I don't work and blah, they're posting content. That is them working. Like that's not how it works. And so it's like, that's not going to happen. So that's like the first big one. And then the second I would say is AI is taking over everything. That's like the big two is what I would say.
hmm And I know your journey, and I guess a lot of the listeners' journeys are, they're coming from different spaces in their life, right? And they're transitioning into entrepreneurship, right?
Mhm.
How did having the systems for you help you with that transition to go from nursing to what you're doing now?
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to if I hadn't had systems because um, it's it's crazy to look back on it now because I was working 3 nursing jobs. I worked in 2 ICUs and an infusion clinic, and I was running my 2 businesses at
Whoa.
one point for quite a while. Um, and that was insane. It was crazy, and if I didn't have systems and automations, there is no way I would have been able to do it.
hmm
Like that, you can't.
hmm hmm
So it's been huge for me to actually be able to run my businesses and be able to have like have been able to keep them running.
Mhm.
because I wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, a lot of people can speak to it, when you have the right systems in place, and I've talked about it before on this podcast about, not having the systems in my business. That's what led me down this rabbit hole of creating
Mhm.
systems, having this podcast, and everything in between. And just the genesis of having it and not even being here for the last couple of weeks because, of illness or whatever the case is. But if you have the right systems in place, it still looks like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in your business,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs need the help with that, but they don't quite know how to get into it, who
Yeah.
to ask for the help, and how it will then help them. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. And I think I absolutely agree. I think that it's really interesting online because there's a lot of people too, and I actually just had this conversation, it's funny, on Reddit with someone. It's like my guilty pleasure at night. I go on Reddit and, read some stuff on there because I don't like drama in my life, but I like reading about it on there. So that's where I
Oh,
get it from. But anyways, I was reading about this and someone was talking about how, they're having trouble finding the right systems and really integrating everything for them to get billing and checkout and everything put together. And they see all of these people who are promoting Kajabi and as the best platform and like that's the one, it's the only one that you should have. And I was like, no, and this is the problem is that we
it's
see
not
on, pardon?
no, I'm saying it's not a one size fits all, but continue. Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. We see a lot of this online where people are promoting these platforms and they're the most popular ones that you see, but they're promoted by kind of influencers essentially who are getting affiliate payouts from this. That's why they're promoting it. But it is oftentimes not the best platform for you. And that's where this gets really confusing because personally, I don't particularly love Kajabi, actually. I don't love it for a lot of reasons. But someone who is just starting out, I would never recommend that they start there.
Mhm.
That is going to be a disaster, to be
Yeah.
quite honest. Like,
No,
it's
no,
not going to go well.
it's too big of a platform too
Yeah.
for someone just starting out, and the intricacies of it and learning, there is a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
And again, I agree with that. When I first started this process in terms of going to systems, Kajabi was never one that they mentioned as like the starting platform for like beginners learning
Yeah.
systems. But when you do a program or a course, they speak to you about like the most used, like ClickFunnels, like
Yeah.
Kajabi, and like the main ones that you hear, and then it's not easy to use.
No. And the other thing I think is that people need to know the people that are promoting these big courses and telling you to use these platforms, a lot of the times, they're not the ones setting up their stuff on this. It's
Right,
their teams.
right,
So even though they're telling you that this is so easy and just use this one, they aren't even setting them up on there.
right.
So you really have to be wary of this and know that it depends on your business what you need.
Hmm.
And I do systems audits with people because I really like to look at their business and be like, this is what you would actually, this would be the most useful for you.
Hmm.
Because I also find that people, they start signing up for platforms and they're doubling up on different things that do the exact same thing. And then they're spending money that they don't need to be. And it just, it gets so out of hand so fast. And I've actually, doing this, I have saved people. There was one of my clients, she was saving like 7,200 a year when we actually did an audit of her systems because of what all of these platforms that she had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's really knowing what you actually need to use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
And how has the journey been in terms of like the systems helping you with leads or, even the prospects, bringing in the right people into your business? Can you talk about how you handle that in terms of automating it to make sure you have the right people come in?
Yeah. So that's in a few different ways. I find that it's really right from, starting with your content, making sure that obviously your content needs to be optimized so that you're getting that in front of the right people. And we all know like the algorithms change and everyone complains about being in the 200 view jail on their reels and all of the things. The thing is, though, if 200 people are still seeing your reel, I always say, like, we need to put this in perspective. How many clients can you take on right now? It's probably not 200. So if 200 are seeing that and we can get them into your systems and onto your email list, and then you can sell to them directly, and those are your ideal clients, then we're doing something right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really the way that I look at it. And it's optimizing this so that you have the right call to actions. You are really, optimizing your free opt-ins so that you have what people are actually wanting, not just throwing out freebies because, you're wanting to build up your email list. That's not going to work. It's not going to be effective. That way, you really have to do this strategically so that you can get in front of those right people and then make the sales that you want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how has being an entrepreneur impacted your life? Like from working your 5 jobs before?
Yeah. It's honestly been unreal because we it's I can't even really I can put into words because I'm going to, but it's been the best thing that I have done, even though it's been really hard because there were things that we were going through in our personal lives and um, with our kids and stuff that I needed to be at home. I couldn't be working 12-hour shifts where I can't leave. Like, can't leave someone when they're dying in the ICU. Like, I can't step away from that. And most of the time, I couldn't even look at my phone or answer if there was an emergency. Like, I could not be there. And so I needed to have something where I was actually available and, it would work with our life while I was able to do something that I really loved. Because I am not like, I never envisioned my life being a stay-at-home mom. Like, I couldn't. And this is not like anything. Like, if that is what someone wants to do, like, totally all power to you. Like, that is totally fine. But I could not do that. Like, I just could not. So I had to find something that I really loved and that would work with our life. And it's just totally changed things.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Mhm.
and what kind of do you, but let me go back. Do you miss the because you're working from home, right?
Yeah.
So do you miss the camaraderie of work, or are there parts of it that you do miss?
There are parts that I do miss. I I really enjoyed being a nurse. I really, really loved it. And I really enjoyed ICU, which is surprising to a lot of people because it's like the most intense and just like crazy place to work. And I saw like the absolute craziest things there, obviously. Um, on the same hand, I I unfortunately had some experiences working there that I have PTSD from. And so that is also something that, it's just it's a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do miss it, but it's not something that I even could go back to at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting.
No, I 100% get it. I
Yeah.
100% get it, Um, uh, just leaning in there into that same story for myself too, you know, my prior experience and my prior company, there's a lot of PTSD around that, right? And
Yeah.
even having certain conversations, it brings you back to that place that you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And, so I 100% agree that, right. So in this new role, right, growing your business, what are some key takeaways that you would talk to your future self or your past self, sorry, about? Like, if you had to give your past self some advice, what would you give that person or that version of you?
Yeah, this is a good one. It's funny that you ask this because I recorded a podcast episode myself on something similar to this. And I think because it's really looking back, I didn't think that I would be here for a lot of reasons. Um, and so I think that I would say, and it sounds so cliche. It sounds so cliche, but it truly is like, keep going.
Mm,
That's like, because and it's not even that you fail if you don't, but the only way that you don't reach your full capacity or reach like your dreams or the vision of, what you really want in life is if you don't keep trying, no matter, how hard it is or the things that you kind of have to go through along the way or the time that it takes you, because we're told that, it should be overnight success and it should come so fast and whatever. But the only way that you don't get there is if you stop trying.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I would just say, like, keep going because it does get better.
mm-hmm. And sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it's oftentimes easier to just stop trying, you
Yeah.
know and I love this platform to be able to share all these stories with all these people, to let them know that, listen, it is a struggle, it is hard, you will encounter difficult things, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that the other version of what you're going to see or who you're going to become isn't better than the version you were before.
Yes. Exactly.
you know
Exactly. Because it's not all just, you know, rainbows and butterflies and
ah!
overnight millions. It's not that, but I think it is worth it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And do you feel like you are a better version of yourself now?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Because I think that it's, really pushed me in ways that I never, I never could have dreamed of or like thought would happen before. Um, and so, yeah, I do. I feel like I've grown a lot in different ways and learned a lot of different things. And yeah, it's always like you're evolving and growing through this. So, yeah, I do think so.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what are your goals for like the next 5, 10 years out?
Yeah. So, my goals are personally, we actually want to move. We want to move to a farm. which is funny. We just want like a really peaceful life. We're not like super glitz and glam people. So that's kind of what we want to do. And like, that's what I'm all about, is like really creating the life that you want. So that's what I'm always working towards, is like just creating that and doing things to work towards that. And what I'm shifting more into now is fractional COO work, actually above the strategy and systems and operation, or systems and automation. So that's what I'm kind of starting to go into. And that's kind of what I see myself doing, and potentially an agency in relation to that. So that's what I kind of see.
I love that. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And is there anything that you would like to share with the budding entrepreneur in terms of whether it be mental or systems or anything that you think will help them get from point A to point B?
Yeah. So I think it's really just, you know, you hear so much online. There's so much noise.
Oh,
There's so much online. And you really have to, I think it's so important to focus on, like, write down your why, write down your goals, and keep going back to that, because you can get lost in all of the other stuff that's going on and start, chasing other things that you see online that's not even really what you want.
mm-hmm,
But if you can truly focus on what you want, I think it's a lot easier to actually get there.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
it's easier to put in place the things that you need to do to get there, the strategies, the systems, the automations. It's, you're going to be putting in place the right things that you need to actually achieve your goals and do the things that you want to do and create the life that you want.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think that everything that you're saying is definitely going to help them, and show light on what can be done, steps that you can take. And I really like that. I think it's going to really help someone out there, and show them that there's another way to do things. And while we're on the topic, right, of another way to do things, I know that you have a lot of clients that have different types of businesses, right? Do you find any kind of similarity in what they're going through with all the customers that you've had, in terms of just where they are, what they're doing, what they want to automate? Like, are they similar? Are they different? Like, are they struggling with the same things?
I would say yes. I would say it's very similar how we actually, it's similar, but I don't ever use like a copy and paste method to put
Right.
systems in place, but it is always similar. Um, and I do find that they're struggling with the same things. It's usually getting in front of the right people to sell to. That's a huge one. And getting leads into their business.
Mhm,
That is huge. Though, like, that is like the biggest one,
mhm,
probably.
mhm,
Um, because, they'll say that I'm not selling, I'm not making sales, but it really comes down to that they don't have leads. They don't have an email list. They don't have anybody, the right people to actually sell to.
mhm,
So that's the biggest one. And then I think in terms of like what they actually want in their business, a lot of it is the a lot of it is like the funnels, like going from the freebie to selling in your emails to, the offer and sales pages, checkouts, things like that. There's a lot that want kind of that process. what I do encourage is that they also have like project management systems, and that we do get some of these other things set up that are really going to streamline their business and actually help them work better day to day.
Mhm.
So those are the kind of things that I also encourage we put in place. But a lot of them come for like the landing pages, the emails, the sales pages, and things like that. So, yeah.
How much of a struggle is it to get past the first part? So when I say that, I mean like the mental, because I find that that's what I have to get past first before anything else. Because what I realize that they come to me for is not exactly what they need.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would totally agree with that. I find that all the time. And I would say it depends on the client, and it's a lot of conversations. And it's really, you know, sometimes I will use analogies, sometimes I'll use different examples. And it's, showing them what is possible if they do this,
Right.
and being like, I know you think that this is what you want, but if we do this, this is what you're going to get. And it's truly it that is going to get you the results that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to kind of shift things so that they can see that, but sometimes it takes a while and it takes a few conversations to get them there.
So the reason why I thought of that is because you are saying that they need to find their why, right? And
Yeah.
I genuinely think that why question, I mean, it really comes up a lot, but it's
Mhm.
really hard for people to identify their why, right?
Yeah.
And I've done a million programs and they're like, well, you need to go like 7 layers deep. But what I find is that they really don't know how to go 7 layers deep or even ask themselves the right question to get the thing, right? So finding that why is sometimes difficult. And if you don't know what you're trying to solve, it's very hard to solve
Yeah.
and help them solve it.
Yes. Yeah. And in that way, I would absolutely agree with that. Um, I think in terms of helping with that piece, I really, I talk to them more about like truly, okay, so what impact do you want to make on your clients at the end of the day? Like, how do you want to make them feel day to day in their life?
Mhm.
Like, what do you truly want them to feel? And how do you want your life to feel? Like, what are we really working towards here?
Mhm. Mhm.
And depending on how they answer, then I will keep going further with different questions.
Mhm.
And I think, I mean, it helps because I have my psychology degree, and I've actually, it's kind of weird. I've taught counseling through nursing too. I taught counseling at university after I got my nursing degree. I've done a lot of things. So I kind of know how to ask these different questions too. So we really do go deeper into some of that. And it's really digging into like, what do you truly want? Because I think if you just are looking at your business as a way of, I just want to, get rich quick, it's not going to get you what you want,
Mhm.
because that's not going to happen.
Right. Right.
And it's
Right.
not going to be motivating enough to allow you to continue.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Because owning a business is hard.
exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and I interviewed someone a while back, and they say you have to be able to get punched in the face a couple times and get back up,
Yeah.
right? So if your motivation is not like if you don't have a strong reason why, then
Yeah.
there's no amount of systems or anything you can put in the business that will help you to
Yeah.
get from point A to point B,
Yeah.
because you still have to do the thing.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you're going to have to show up. And I've had to have this conversation with people. Like, and it goes back to the whole like wanting just a passive income business.
Hmm.
You're going to have to show up
Hmm.
and do some things regardless of the systems that you have. Because yeah, I have lots of systems in my business, and I'm sure that you do too. Like, this is what we do, but
Hmm.
you still have to show up.
Yeah.
It doesn't fully run itself. Like, you still have to be present and doing things and working with your clients. Like, that's a
Hmm.
huge part of it, right? So you do have to have more, you know, a deeper why to keep you going.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we're in a great space now and a great time now for budding entrepreneurs, because there's so much to be able to help them, and there's so many more people learning that you need systems. And even with AI too, you're now knowing that, like, you're learning that, okay, you can automate this or you can automate that, because
Yeah.
there's so much information available
Yeah.
versus starting a business years ago where the information was so limited. And I feel like in the last 2 to 3 years, it's been like even more of a boom of
Oh, yeah.
knowledge, you know? And I mean, for you, how are you using that in AI to really help? Or how do you feel it's affecting? You can give either way, pros or cons.
Yeah. So I think AI is interesting. I've seen it. I've seen it work well, and I've seen it work really terribly.
Hmm.
Because I think there's, it can work well in some cases, and then there can be the point where you're relying on it too much, and it's like you want that to run your business. Well, you can't do that. You can't chat GPT your way out of everything, or like, totally writing all of your content from scratch. Like, that doesn't work. You can tell that it's AI and it sounds bad. You don't want to do that. Like, you really want to come across as yourself. People want to talk to you. They want to hear from you and hear what you have to say. And especially when you are going to be working with them like one on one, or they're going to be paying quite a bit to work with you. I think that it's especially important to put that personal touch on it, rather than, go so heavy on the AI route,
Hmm. Hmm.
because it can just get so much. And I think like it is a helpful tool for information, but yeah, it's kind of, there's a balance. There's a balance to it.
Yeah, I definitely hear you on that. And I've been working with some clients on cloning, and it's crazy. So cloning, yeah, right. So we can use AI as a clone, but to your point, it can get to a point where they believe that it should 100% be them,
Yeah.
and that's where it gets scary, because there is the ability to, but you don't really want it to,
Exactly.
because you really need to monitor too what it's saying and the information it's putting out.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you don't know it all. Like, who knows what it's going to say one day?
Yeah.
Like, that could go real sideways real fast. Like, we have no idea. So it just, yeah, I think that it's interesting what is going on with AI and how people are using it. And even I know we talked about ManyChat before.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that, it's good in some ways to deliver links. And I think that it has some benefits to it.
Mhm.
And then there's, again, where people are relying on it to have just all of the conversations
Right.
and sell everything for them. And they just never have to talk to anyone. And I've seen, a few people that have said, unless you're paying me, I'm not going to talk to you. And I just think that that's so short-sighted.
Mhm.
It's relationships are so important, especially as a small business owner. Like, you are, when you're wanting to work with these people one-on-one and wanting them to pay you, especially like as a service provider or as a coach, something like that, I think that you need to talk to them.
Mhm. Mhm.
I really do think that that's important and that you need to put that effort in. And it doesn't mean being in your DMs, 24 hours a day. That's not at all what this is. And when you have the right systems and automations in place to do other tasks for you, you have the time to go and build these relationships.
Mhm. 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 I will say though, what I found is that sometimes you need to, as a business owner, in order to grow and scale, be able to have the questions answered
Yeah.
automatically, but be able to know when it's time to step in.
Yes.
And one of the issues, or one of the things I think a lot of business owners do, is that they give out their personal phone numbers. And what I found with that is that when you have a business and you give out your personal phone number, even if you have the right staff, assistants, whatever, they don't want to speak with them. They want to speak with you. And
Yeah.
the issue becomes that because you're wearing so many hats, you don't have the time to do everything plus communicate. And then
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
breakdown. So there's a fine line between that. And because there's so many ways for people to get in touch with you now, whether it be your phone, DM, you know, like there's so many ways. You're so accessible that it makes it hard for small business owners
Yeah.
really to separate themselves. So I do believe that there needs to be a some sort of separation so you can have a moment with your family, do the things you need to do
Yeah.
without answering 100 messages all day long.
Absolutely. And that's interesting that you say that. About the personal phone number, that is one that I I don't know how many. Do you have a lot of clients that do that?
A lot, a lot,
Really?
a lot. They give out their personal phone numbers, and their personal phone number is their direct, like that is their
No
a lot,
way.
a lot.
Oh, yeah,
And
no.
I find that they struggle because then when they don't answer their phone, the client then becomes agitated, like, I called you, but you never responded. And I'm like, well,
Mm-mm.
they're busy running a business, right? So there needs to be a balance.
Yeah.
And I find until you get to a certain point, you know, you're still using the personal number to answer everything.
Yeah. See, I recommend keeping it to like Instagram DMs,
Hmm.
and then with clients, it's WhatsApp. I don't give out my phone number to anybody. Nobody gets that.
Hmm.
That is like, nope. Um, that like that's where I would leave it at. I guess it would depend on the kind of business that they would have as to,
No, no.
but I
Here's
don't know.
here's what I find. Right, if you give out your personal number, what I find is you can't ever scale. And
No.
they hit
I
a
wouldn't.
they hit a threshold where
Yeah.
they're overwhelmed and they burn out.
Well,
And
yeah.
I mean, and I'm speaking from experience too, because I did that before, right?
Yeah.
And you burn out.
Yeah.
And you can't be everything to everyone all the
No.
time. And they don't understand that. So even, having different conversations, I'm like, that's the first thing that you need to do. You need to separate yourself so that you can be efficient at doing what you're doing. So you can
Yeah.
show up to actually give them the service without, answering 100 times a day and stopping what you're doing to do it.
Yeah, because I guess people can DM me on Instagram, email, or WhatsApp. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. So it sounds like most of your clients don't have that problem.
No,
Oh,
no. And I would tell them never to give out their phone number.
oh,
Yeah, I'd be like, no, go change it now.
yeah.
Because you have to keep that boundary. Otherwise, it would get so out. Like, I cannot imagine how overwhelming that would be on your actual phone number.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, because at least if you have it in Instagram or WhatsApp or your email, you can just, you can check it at certain times and that's it.
Yep.
Because I have boundaries around and I say, like, for WhatsApp, it's clients. This is the hours that I work between.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I check it outside of that and I'll answer quick and whatever, but that's what it is. And then on Instagram, I choose when I'm
When
answering my
you
DMs.
answer. Mm-hmm.
And I usually get back to people like pretty fast. I like to talk to people, so it's like not a big deal, but I just could not imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Interesting.
Well, I would love for you to leave us with some words of insight today.
Don't give out your personal phone number.
I love it. I love it. She's like, nope, that's tip one. Don't do it.
That is the first one. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that one. I would say, though, honestly, when you are starting a business, I know so many people don't want to do this, but the very first thing that I always tell people to do is start an email list. It's the very first one. I don't
Right.
know if that's like what you tell people, but
You know what?
I
Yeah, go ahead.
I always say, like, especially to capture your leads, all of that, because once you start posting online, you have somewhere to capture your leads.
Mm-hmm.
And, email platforms, depending on what you use, are not that costly. I oftentimes recommend like ConvertKit, Flowdesk, something like that for someone just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have landing pages through there. Flowdesk even now does sales pages as well. So that's really good. But you can at least capture your leads that way, get names, get emails, see who's really interested in what you're doing because your followers are not leads.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Your followers are not leads.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation a million times trying to explain to people that the numbers don't matter what you're seeing online, whether it's small or large. That doesn't determine
No.
who your actual customers are because they
No.
may have seen something you did. That doesn't mean that they liked it, subscribed, but they could still be a customer. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's the very first thing that
Mm-hmm.
I would do. And it doesn't matter if you have one follower, like it doesn't matter because more people than that are still going to see your content and they can still sign up to be on your email list. So you
Mm-hmm.
can still be building your email list. And like you said, it doesn't matter how many followers or whatever you have,
Mm-hmm.
build your email list because those are people that you can sell directly to. There's no algorithm. You choose who your emails are going to.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have stopped preaching about the email list.
Mhm.
And a lot of people think or believe that email lists are dead, but it really isn't.
No, no, it's one of the best things that you can take advantage of.
Hmm.
It's one of the best. You can nurture people, you can sell through there. Like, there's so much that you can do with your email list. So much.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Agree. I agree. And how are you with newsletters?
Newsletters, I do one newsletter a week. I send out, and then I send out a second, just like brief email, because I do 2 podcast episodes a week and I do like a very short one on Friday. So I'll send out a second email just saying what the podcast episode was on Friday. So I do 2 at least a week.
Hmm. And how do you find those even for your clients? Like if they don't have a podcast or if they don't have that kind of business where it's front facing.
Yeah. So what I really like is I always give this tip, do this. It's like a 1, 2, 3 method, is basically what I call it. So the first thing you do is share like a tip or something you learned from the week, or copy and paste one of your best posts, like a post that you really liked from the week. Repurpose your content for your email list. Like, it literally doesn't matter. Not everyone sees your stuff. Even if they see it twice, it's fine.
Mhm.
Most people need to see your stuff more than once, anyways, for things to sink in. It's fine. So that's number one. The second one is, I like to say, share something. Like, if you do have a podcast, I would share that. If you have a blog, I would share your latest blog post. Like, anything that you can share that you are involved in. If you don't have anything like that, that's totally fine. Share a freebie. I
Mhm.
share a freebie in every single one of my emails. Who cares? It's a free resource, right?
Mhm.
It's not like you're putting people out. It's free. Share
Mhm.
it for them. And then the third one, if you do have a podcast or a blog, then share your freebie, or share your offer that you're promoting, like
Mhm.
just a little blurb about it.
Mhm.
So those are the 3 things that I do, and that's the email every single week. And it's super easy to go out. I consistently have over 50% open rates all of the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's like, it's simple because, I really focus on, I don't sell all the time in my emails. I do focus on, giving value and nurturing, and really trying to give some kind of a tip, even if it's something like really short. Some of my emails are long because I like to write a lot. But, you know, it doesn't have to be this thing where it's really hard, and you don't need to like look at what other people are doing and compare yourself and be like, oh, well, I can't because they're doing this. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. This is your business. Do what you want.
Mhm.
It literally doesn't matter. People want to hear from you anyways. So don't try to sound like someone else.
Mhm. Yep.
And don't use AI to write your whole email. Because I've had those too, and they're really weird. Some guy actually, I got one that it was so strange. It was like something about, because I have a 6-week intensive program for launching, and it was something about, um, what if we slipped your 6-week intensive into a Louboutin shoe? And yeah, I don't even know. It was so confusing, and I was like, "Are you selling me something? Like, what is this?" It was so weird.
Wow.
Yeah, so don't do that because that's weird.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, oh, yeah, yeah.
but that's what I would say. Start there. Make it easy.
Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Can you please share all of the ways that our listeners can contact you? What's the best way to reach you?
Yes, for sure. So I am on Instagram at I am Tara Leeson. My website is just taraleeson.com. I do have my podcast, which is Behind the Scenes of Online Business Without the BS. And I'm on TikTok at Tara Leeson. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tara, for coming on today. I really appreciate it. It was a fabulous conversation, and I know they're going to learn a lot.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Entrepreneurial Truth. One tool that I can truly recommend on how you can organize and execute systems is Notion. Notion allows you to seamlessly get information out of your head and into a centralized, organized space. Whether it's documenting processes, managing projects, or brainstorming ideas, Notion can be your go-to platform. As a special offer to our listeners, you can get started with Notion using the link in the episode description. By using our affiliate link, you not only support our podcast, but also gain access to free templates designed to kickstart your journey with Notion. These templates are specifically crafted to help entrepreneurs streamline their workflows and boost productivity. To take advantage of this offer, simply visit the affiliate link below to sign up and explore the free templates available in the resource section. Whether you're a solopreneur, managing a team, Notion can be the game changer you've been looking for. Stay tuned for more episodes where we dive deep into strategies, tools that can empower you as an entrepreneur. And don't forget to subscribe to Entrepreneurial Truth so you never miss an episode filled with actionable advice and insights. Thank you once again for joining us today. Until next time, keep innovating and scaling your business with purpose. Thanks again.